Tick-tock, time to rock. How is everyone doing this evening or morning or afternoon, wherever you happen to be? Hello, here. Everyone. I am here with the apostate prophet, the prophet of apostasy, Allah's final messenger, calling everyone out of Islam, telling everyone it was all a joke, ladies and gentlemen. It was just a joke the entire time.
It was all a joke. It was all a joke. You have all been duped.
Let's see. Check this out. Already, right here at the beginning, man. You see this comment? Oh, you won't see it for a few seconds. You're on a lapse.
No. Yeah.
It's a derogatory term. If I were to use this term, I would be instantly banned from YouTube. But if keyboard jihadis are using it, they're good all day long.
Wow. Okay, I see it now. Yeah.
Thank you. Here, all we do is try to help and encourage Muslims. Let me find something more positive. Here we go.
Dear Muhammad Ansari, I just want to help you. I just want to be nice to you. I just want to be friendly to you. Just accept my help.
Hey, check this out. Lee D says, "Where are you, David and AP?" I don't know if he posted that like before we were on. He's like, "Hey, where are you guys? Why are you like 2 minutes late?" Or if he's like he wants our addresses. Why would you want our addresses, man? That's messed up.
I can give my address right now here.
Hey, here you go. You got hello from Germany.
Oh.
It's your
Hallo, willkommen.
It's your homies right there.
Grüße an Deutschland.
All right. We are going to get into our topic first. What do we got going on this weekend, AP?
Hello, everyone. First off, nice to see you. Well, wait, you mean this weekend?
Yeah, what do we got going on this weekend?
Oh, this weekend we're going to meet up.
Oh, yeah, we're meeting up for the first time.
Yeah.
We should, we'll have to see what our schedule is going like, but if it's going well and we're getting we're getting the videos done and we have some time, maybe we'll go live. That'll be me, Vocab Malone, John McRae, and the Apostate Prophet recording as many episodes of Muhammad's Boom Boom Room as we can. And so we're going to have Muhammad Meets the Apostate Prophet, but I got some white and gray hair coloring around here somewhere. It's temporary, it washes right out after you use it, but you're going to be Sigmund Freud, just so you know. And so we're going to have Muhammad, and that'll fit perfect with your German. And so we'll have Muhammad Meets Sigmund Freud. And then the others I think we got Darth Vader. We got Muhammad Meets some black Hebrew Israelites. Maybe, depending on time, Nation of Islam, Moses, a couple others. We'll see what we got. Moses. I can't help but give spoilers occasionally. Let's just say Moses might end up stoning Muhammad and busting his head open with a rock for delivering the satanic verses. I don't want to give anything away, but that might happen.
But I'm going to be in the Boom Boom Room, everyone. Apostate Prophet meets Muhammad.
You're going to be in the Boom Boom Room. Hey, look at this. Luke L007 says, "The sun is setting here, and I think I saw Dul Karnain walking towards the west."
Nice. Nice. It's always good when the viewers are familiar with the topic, you know.
All right, while people are still signing on, before we jump into our topic, which is science, and basically most of the time here, we're probably only going to go about an hour, and the reason is we're traveling tomorrow. I leave tomorrow morning, so I have to finish editing a video, and have to pack and find a bunch of stuff and stuff like that. So we'll probably go like an hour, but we're happy to continue this because you just posted what's being called your magnum opus.
Oh, yes. I'm very proud of it.
Oh, hey! I don't know if you know, but I think it was either the day before you posted it or 2 days before you posted it. A Muslim was in the chat and he said something along the lines of, "The Apostate Prophet hasn't posted in a while. I think he's realizing that Islam is the truth and he's about to come back." And I was like, man, he's about to go in the Boom Boom Room. There's no way. There's no way. And then right after he said that, man, you posted your magnum opus here. So what is this thing that you spent so much time working on?
I worked so long, and I worked for months and weeks. Especially the last month, I was completely. I don't know. I spent all my time that I had on this. I sacrificed my all my time that I had to do all the other stuff. But whatever. What I worked on is the scientific mistakes of the Quran. I worked on it for months. Finally, I published a 1-hour video in which I list 60 scientific mistakes in the Quran. From stars and the sun, the sky, the different objects around us, to humans and animals and the shape of the earth and all that stuff. I've listed all of it. I've explained the mistakes. I've taken a little bit of time. I think I spent an average of 40 seconds to 1 minute on every mistake. I explained them. I explained what the Quran says, what apologists say, why what apologists say that doesn't make sense, and all that other stuff. It's quite comprehensive. I could have explained so much more, but I don't know. It's an hour already. I didn't want to make it 2-3 hours. So I'm probably this is going to be here. This is the first video of its kind. There is no other scientific mistakes video that's just that is comprehensive, that deals with all of them. So that's why I wanted to do this, actually. But after that, I'll also go into discussing all of these mistakes individually in dedicated videos, because in there I can go even further into explaining what the Quran says, into all the apologetics that Muslims present, and refuting all those apologetics. So I have spent a lot of time on this, but I will spend even more time on this. There is so much more to come with this.
And I don't want you to get a big head here, AP, but here's what I think is really cool, right? Like, I make dope videos. My videos are dope. I make dope videos all the time. But, I've been doing this for a really long time. These new guys that just came out of nowhere, people like the Apostate Prophet, right? Yeah. I mean, you're talking 2018. Most of the people here had no clue who you were. Yeah. And all of a sudden, you're putting out stuff that would be like the pinnacle of your career, but you just got started. And so I'm thinking, gosh, what is he going to be putting out like 5 years from now, right? If he's putting this out already and he just got started, what's he going to be putting out 5-6 years from now? That's actually what I look forward to. I look forward to the time when people are doing it better than I could ever do it. So I'm just like, what's the point of me doing it? I'm going to sit back and watch and cheer these guys on, because they're killing it there.
You should keep doing. You should keep going. I have this thought sometimes. I'm thinking I'm doing all these things right now. What will I be doing? I don't know, 1 year from now, 2 years from now. But I don't even want to get carried away with all of that. I just want to concentrate on this. I want to keep doing everything that can possibly be done. I want to repeat stuff. I want to go through the mistakes again and again. I've kind of in the recent times I've found this newfound love with. Analyzing all the Quran mistakes and talking about them. It started with that contradiction around the two Marys in the Quran. I made a video about that, and then I realized how great it is to talk about this and to reveal all of that and to show it to people. And then I made another video as a follow-up on that. And then I thought, hey, this is pretty good, and it shows people that there is something wrong with this book, especially because the Quran is the only book that itself claims to be word for word directly the word of Allah, and then it comes with so many assertions that are just completely nonsense. So I'll keep doing this for a while, I guess.
Yeah, and the Muslim sources are going to provide plenty of material, because I saw you mentioned doing another long video on all the historical mistakes in the Quran, and so you can go through and do those kinds of things. But then, even after you finish every single error in the Quran, you've got these massive multi-volume collections of hadiths giving the words of Muhammad.
Yeah.
So you got your work cut out for you, man. It's good. It's good. You got a long time ahead of you, unless you get your head chopped off.
Yeah.
All right. So before we jump into our topic and start going into details, there are tons of comments over here about Tommy Robinson, because that just happened today. Tommy Robinson was just sentenced today, so we've got comments all over the place about free Tommy and so on. Did you hear? Have you been following the Tommy Robinson saga in the UK?
I followed it before. I didn't really follow it this week around what happened. Please enlighten us, David.
Yeah, so guys, we're not gonna talk about that much here. When I said that I have to edit a video for tonight, that's the video I'm editing, right? So before this live stream, I recorded a video about Tommy's new sentencing. So that's about to come out. So yeah, but just for everyone who doesn't know what's going on, this is a really important thing that's going on in the UK right now, where last year Tommy Robinson was arrested for doing a live stream outside a courthouse where there was a trial for a group of Islamic rape pedophiles who were, molesting little girls and so on. So Tommy went there and did a live stream outside the courthouse. Supposedly there were reporting restrictions, although under British law they are required to publicly post reporting restrictions. They didn't, and so I don't know how people can be responsible for following them if they didn't even follow the law in posting them. But even so, Tommy was careful. He only shared details that were already in the public domain. And under British law, there can be no restrictions on sharing information that's already in the public domain. So the only details he shared were things that he was allowed to share under law. He didn't share any new information. But they locked him up anyway. At first, they locked him up for breach of peace. That's in the video when they're coming up to arrest him. They say, "We're arresting you for breach of peace." Then what was reported later in the media that he had been arrested for violating reporting restrictions, and it was said in the media that he had pleaded guilty. Turns out that was total nonsense. Once he was released, found out what the actual situation was. He was brought into court. He wasn't allowed an opportunity to plead guilty or not guilty. The judge immediately sentenced him to something like 13 months in prison or something like that, and got him off the street immediately. Didn't allow him to say anything in his own defense, just got him off there. And Tommy was comparing that with the treatment of the rape gangs who were brought into court, even though they're accused by more than a dozen young girls of raping them and so on, were released on bail. So that they could be free while they, went through their trial and so on. So that was the situation there. Eventually, Tommy was released. But more recently, earlier this year, the prosecutor decided to recharge Tommy, and the charges kind of changed. This time, the emphasis was on Tommy potentially causing these rapists. They were convicted of rape, so that's what they are. These pedophile rapists, he could have caused them anxiety by questioning them on their way to court. Now, why this is insane is that happens every day outside of courthouses, right? You're on your way to court, and reporter runs up. What do you think of what's going on? Blah 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 blah. Right? Tommy pointed out the hypocrisy in that as he's heading to court, there is a mob around him. There's a mob of reporters with cameras and microphones in his face. And they're saying, "Hey, what do you think about the charges against you? Isn't it great that you're finally facing justice?" And he's going, "What I am accused of right now, what I'm going to court for, is exactly what you're doing right now." And the only difference is when he was doing it, was just him and one microphone versus them and like a mob. But it's perfectly acceptable when they do it. But when he does it, it's something you have to go to jail for. So there was all of that, and then finally the other charge against him was that he was calling for vigilante justice when. So it's reported. You go to the BBC article on his sentencing today. Look at it. It says that he was encouraging vigilante justice. He was telling his followers to go track down these Muslims and things like that, and find them and harass them and things like that. When if you look at what he actually said, he was talking about the media. He was talking about the media, what they do to people like him and others who are on the wrong side of a political issue from them. And he says, "You go to our houses, you harass us, you find out where we work, you post pictures of us, you get people fired, you go to their families, you post who their families are, you do all that stuff, and yet you don't go near those guys. If you do that if you think it's okay to do to us, why don't you do it to them?" Right? But that gets reported as him calling for vigilanteism on the rape gangs. So this is just insane. Tommy was locked back up. He was sentenced to 9 months. Part of that he's already served because he already served a few months. So really messed up situation. I think he needs to get out of there. Anyway, just wanted to do that because there were lots of comments, and I know it's an important issue right now. Again, I'll have a video coming out about this later tonight where we can chat in the comments there. As of right now, we're talking about the scientific miracles of the Quran. Now, AP, you have been through the Quran, have you not?
Yes, thoroughly.
And how do you reconcile your unbelief and calls for apostasy and telling people stay away from Islam when you've read the Quran, man? You know what's in there. I understand if a completely ignorant person who's never read the Quran isn't impressed, but you've been through there. You've seen the miraculous scientific knowledge about embryology and physics and chemistry and all these things. The ocean water, it doesn't mix with the river water, man. It's miracle after miracle. Mountains stopping earthquakes, all this stuff, man. So how do you justify your unbelief knowing what you know?
Well, I don't know. I felt a little bit ashamed actually after reading the Quran through. I sat there again, read it through again as I did before, and I just thought about my disbelief, and I thought I was just completely blown away because of I was ashamed thinking about my disbelief because it came so late. I was ashamed that I for such a long time believed in such a book. To be the true direct word of the all-knowing Allah who also created the earth and everything around it and in it. It is so unbelievable that I was part of that at some time.
By the way, when you were a Muslim, did you ever start seeing some of these as problems?
I did actually. That was a thing. I was a very devout Muslim. At the peak of my religiosity, of my religiousness, I was so much in love with it. I was so much wanting to do everything the right way, the Islamic way. I wanted to follow Allah. I wanted to listen to everything Muhammad says. I just wanted to be the best Muslim out there. I didn't have the ambition to be the best out there. I just wanted to be the best Muslim that I could be. But at the same time, I was reading the Quran, and I had these questions in my mind, especially when I read things about the sun, for example, or about stars, about the sky, and how the Quran describes these things. It was just impossible not to think about them for me or for any other reasonable person. But what I did at the time was I went out to ask scholars, to ask people who know better than I do, and I realized that they don't really have the answers, and especially on very troubling topics that can't be answered. They tell me to go and ask greater scholars, or to just have faith in it, to not question it, and I don't know, especially about the sun sinking in the Modi Spring, the sun having a resting place, and things like that. What I was told for such a long time was that I don't have the capability to understand that because I'm only a human, and only the most learned scholars understand it, and I in my position should either learn from them or give up and submit to Allah and just believe in what He says to be the absolute truth.
Actually, one moment, and then you can continue. Let's pull that up on the screen since I have this technology. Let's get that up on the screen. I'll go ahead and read it. You tell us why it's disturbing, and then we'll give Muslims the opportunity to post their responses over there, and you can continue. But we just want people to know why this might be viewed as a problem. So we have here Surah 18, verses 83 to 86, and 83 is the key. Verse 83, and they ask you about Dhul Qarnayn, historically usually identified as Alexander the Great, although recent Muslims try to deny this because Dhul Qarnayn is presented here as a Muslim in this chapter, and we know historically Alexander was absolutely as pagan as you can possibly be. And they ask you about Dhul Qarnayn, say, I shall recite to you something of his story. Verily, we established him in the earth, and we gave him the means of everything. So he followed away. Ladies and gentlemen. Where did his way lead him? Let's find out. Until when he reached the setting place of the sun. So notice there is a setting place of the sun. And you can reach it because Alexander the Great reached it. When he reached the setting place of the sun, he found it setting in a spring of black, muddy, or hot water, and he found near it a people. We, Allah, said by inspiration, O Dhul Qarnayn, either you punish them or treat them with kindness. So notice all the things brought up in this one verse right here. One, there is a setting place of the sun. There's a place where the sun sets. Two, Dhul Qarnayn reached it. He reached this place. Three, the sun sets in a spring of muddy or hot water. And four, there are people who live there. They live by the place where the sun sets. And five, by inference, the sun must be much, much, much smaller than the earth if it's setting in a pool. And I think it was in the comment section of your video. I think it was there. I'm trying to think of where I saw this, but someone sent me a clip of, it was a show or something. It was a guy trying to explain the difference between small but close and far away. But I don't remember. I'll have to find that clip, right? He's trying to explain to a total idiot, right? Look, if you see, he's got a little cow, right? He's got a little cow, and he says, you see the cow out the window is the same size, but it's because it's far away. And so anyway, that's an explanation Muhammad needed. All right, but why might this bother you?
Would you also read, if you don't mind, would you also read 89 and 90 while we're there?
Let's see. I'll have to pull them up here.
Oh, let me just read it if you want to. Let me go.
Oh, yeah. If you've got it, I have to pull it up. I took a screenshot of it earlier.
So from 89 and 90 is this. Again, Dhul Qarnayn. Then he followed away, until when he came to the rising of the sun, he found it rising on a people for whom he had not made against it any shield. It then goes on from there and explains how Dhul Qarnayn helped them and made them a wall or a shield to protect them from the sun, because they were at the rising place of the sun. So anyways, all this combined together, I want to, in my video, I took a little bit time to get to this verse because I wanted people to understand how primitive the Quran really is. Because when people read the Quran, they can't. I couldn't do that. They can't properly put themselves into the position of Muhammad and his companions in the 7th century in the desert and understand that the Quran or the author of the Quran really doesn't know what the sun is and how it works and what it is. I mean, the Quran, for example, doesn't know how shadows work. It doesn't understand the correlation between shadows and the sun. That's how dumb it is. But I was so stuck on this specific part of the Quran when I was a religious Muslim, and this was one of my biggest problems when I was a Muslim, because it clearly tells us that Dhul Qarnayn goes to a place where the sun sets. Muslims try to say today that is metaphorical, and that was like the one of the first explanations that I saw when I tried to find answers to that when I was a Muslim. Scholars on YouTube, on TV, here and there, in books, they try to explain how it's metaphorical, how it's explained from Dhul Qarnayn's perspective. Like he saw it as if it was sinking in a muddy spring. And when he goes to a setting place of the sun, that actually just means that he goes as far as he can to the end of the continent and sees the sun setting on the other side of the ocean. And you don't have to understand that all literally. It's just metaphorical. But that's absolute nonsense. It's all just very, very poor modern apologetics, because the Quran very clearly says that he went to this place. As just demonstrated, the Quran also says in 90 that he then went to the place where the sun rises. And it very clearly explains that when he went to the place where the sun rises, he saw that there were a people who lived close to the place where the sun rises, and they didn't have a protection against the sun, because they need protection from the sun because they are so close to it, which is why Dhul Qarnayn goes and builds them a protection against the sun. There is no such place. That is complete nonsense, completely illogical. And Muslim apologists choose to ignore this part. They choose to ignore verse 89 and 90 in their apologetics for verse 86, which says that it sets in a muddy spring. But I listed two apologetics that Muslim apologists present. One of them is that he sees it as if it was setting in a muddy spring,
and that's
the other.
by the way, that's being presented over in the chat here. So here is Jimmy Khan, for instance. He says it was from Zulkarnain, Cyrus the Great's perspective. It did not actually set in murky water. So it didn't actually set in murky water. It was just his perspective. And there was a follow-up here. He says he came to the Black Sea, Cyrus the Great, and from his perspective, it looked like it was setting. Now notice I'm pretty sure there are perfectly good Arabic words for saying that Alexander the Great, or Cyrus, or however you want to say, came to the Black Sea and he saw the sun reflecting off the water and it looked to him as if it's setting. I'm sure there are perfectly good words there to describe all of that. But anyway, this is what's being presented. So what did you think of that?
I mean, I talked about this in the video as well. That claim that it was only from his perspective and that he reached a specific place is completely, it is very weak. I mean, you wouldn't do that in any other case. If we talked about a book of old mythology, which the Quran is an equivalent of. Because, what was I going to say? Think about Dhul-Qarnayn as a character that no one can explain today. Obviously, it is a ripoff of Alexander the Great, and Islam. Muhammad tried to turn Alexander the Great into this Islamic prophet because he was asked about this character and didn't really know what it was. But he also heard specific stories about Alexander the Great and thought, "Oh, this was a great character. Let's just make him the prophet of Allah." So
he did that a lot.
Yeah, he did that a lot. You pointed that out nicely in your Socrates Boom Boom videos. But the funny thing here is the character is Dhul-Qarnayn, and this character is supposed to be a character that Allah is directly leading, a very a powerful, knowing, wise prophet, or whatever this character is. And the Quran not only cites this person, Dhul-Qarnayn, as a completely ignorant idiot who doesn't know what the sun is and what the sun does. It also clearly describes what Dhul-Qarnayn saw, and it doesn't describe it from Dhul-Qarnayn's perspective. It is directly Allah's word. There is no word in there that stands for as if. In fact, the description of what Dhul-Qarnayn saw here in this verse is the same as the description in the other verse 90, where it says that he went to the rising place of the sun, and that he found there people who lived close to that place. So that might not be entirely clear, but the Quran uses the same words to describe that he found the sun setting in a muddy spring, and to describe that he found people near a place. So it is not from his perspective. It talks objectively from Allah's perspective about what Dhul-Qarnayn encounters. It is not from anyone's perspective at all. That is completely poor apologetics.
Yeah. Abdul Rahman here says, perhaps it was Africa where they have darker skin, but that's my understanding and opinion. So when he talks about the people who live there, he's saying maybe this place is in Africa. So according to Abdul Rahman, the sun sets in Africa in a pool down there. And the reason the people have darker skin is because the sun, which is small enough to fit into a pool in Africa, keeps setting there in their midst. And well, there you have it. Science, the impact that science has had on Muslims. Luke L007 presented a good comment. He said, if it was from his perspective, why even mention it? Billions of people have seen the sunset from a beach. So if it's just seeing the sunset in a pool, tons of people see that all the time, right? Anytime you're near a body of water and you see the sunset. So what's the significance of, oh, look at what Alexander did. He's so amazing. He saw what people see every day all the time.
What I thought when I was a Muslim, but what I violently wanted to suppress because I didn't want to question and lose my faith. I also put that thought into this video in a small section small section at the end of this specific Quran mistake. Is let me quickly go there.
As you're pulling that up, I'll read a couple more comments. Sarah G said, "I'd say it's appropriation." that's a good point to be bringing up, that Muhammad's doing literary appropriation, culture appropriation, stealing all these people's stories, stealing all these historical figures, using them for his own. Someone mentioned a little bit earlier too. Said try to find the place where the sun sets on Google Maps. That might be something fun. Maybe we'll do that in Arizona when we're out there. We can start looking for the place where the sun sets and telling getting on the GPS. We'll see what we can come up with.
I had this explanation that it's a very simple explanation. If you are just very honest about the Quran, taking all the other mistakes and all the other ignorance about the movements of the earth and the sun into consideration, I just made this very simple explanation. Arabs, especially Muhammad's Arabs and other Arabs, lived at a place close to the ocean. They always saw out to the ocean. They saw the sun go down in the west, and they couldn't explain anything any further. They were completely unaware of the shape of the earth and the solar system. The author of the Quran, or the authors of the Quran, and they thought that everyone on this planet, everyone on the earth, because they didn't know that it is round, sees the sun go up and down at the same time. They imagined that the earth is widely spread, as the Quran points out multiple times. It says in more than 8 verses that Allah spread the earth, Allah made the earth a carpet, Allah made the earth a bed, Allah made the earth flat for you, whatever it says. They thought that the sun goes up and down, and everyone in the world sees it go up and down at the same time. And it always goes down in the west, somewhere mysteriously across the ocean, and no one so far has ever reached it, or we know of no one who has ever reached it. So Muhammad came here and said, well, Dhul-Qarnayn did reach it. Mm-hmm. He actually reached that sun. He walked so far, he went so far because he was so mighty that he
such a devout Muslim.
And such a devout Muslim, Alexander the Great, and he went to that place and found the sun setting in a muddy spring. He even went to the opposite place and saw to that place where the sun rises, which none of us have reached so far, and that is extremely primitive, but that is really what they believed in, and that is really what made this Quran verse, or what made this series of Quran verses possible. And as a result, we have a Quran here that tells us that this mysterious, weird character went to those places where the sun rises and sets and saw it setting in a muddy spring. And 1.6 billion Muslims are supposed to believe in this. And I am supposed to believe in this after going to school and getting informed about basic geography and whatever.
Yep. So I have a good hadith on this one.
Oh yeah, at that.
Let's check out. All right, for those of you, for you Muslims over there who are saying that this simply refers to how it appeared to Alexander, right? So when it says that he found the setting place of the sun and found it setting in a muddy pool, it's just saying, he found a body of water and then it looked like it. And that's all he's saying. All right, well, just so you know, in Islam, the greatest interpreter of the Quran is supposedly your prophet, Muhammad. So if Muhammad interprets the Quran for you, you're supposed to keep you're supposed to know your role and shut your hole and believe what he says. So what does Muhammad think about where the sun sets? This is Sunan Abu Dawud 4002, and notice the grade at the end. It is Sahih. That's pretty good in Islam. That's as good as you got, Sahih. And let's read it. It was narrated that Abu Dar said, I was riding behind the Messenger of Allah while he was on a donkey, and the sun was setting. He said, so Muhammad said, do you know where this sun sets? I said, Allah and his messenger know best. He said, it sets in a spring of warm water. Now, notice something peculiar about this hadith. Alexander is nowhere mentioned. Dhul-Qarnayn is not mentioned. This is not talking about some person who traveled somewhere and saw a body of water. This isn't about a person traveling at all. This is Muhammad asking one of his followers if he knows where the sun sets. And his follower, Abu Dar, responds, well, I don't know. You're the prophet here. You're the prophet. Allah and his messenger know best. So Muhammad, notice, Allah and his messenger know best. Allah and the Quran and Muhammad who interprets the Quran, they know best. They have the divine knowledge. And what is Muhammad's response? There is no, it seems to, or it appears, that wouldn't make any sense in this verse. He's explaining where the sun sets. Where does it go? Where does it go? He said it sets in a spring of warm water. Uh-oh. So, Muslims in the chat, you basically you got two options. One, you have to fit your appearance theory into there where there's no one that it's appearing to. Right? He's not saying, oh, look over there at that body of water. Doesn't it seem like it's setting in a he's telling his companion where the sun sets. That's what he's telling him. So you can try and cram your appearance theory into that passage, or you can say that this Sahih narration that passes the rigorous test of a Sahih narration is just unreliable, in which case, don't tell me you know anything about your prophet. Because if even your best, most reliable sources are full of lies, great. Then you're telling me that even your best sources are corrupt and nonsense, in which case I can't know anything about your prophet. Either way, you're kind of in trouble here, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think?
David, add me some. Let me add something. Some Muslim apologists say about this specific hadith that it is graded as sahih, but that it is not necessarily reliable because it is only one report. See, the funny thing is, Islamic scholars came together and graded this hadith as sahih, as authentic. So it definitely goes back to Muhammad. But some have come up with the idea that it might not be entirely reliable because it sounds weird, and because it is only one narrator,
and because it goes against Zakir Naik.
Oh yes. One funny thing is, they then offer an alternative and say there is a similar hadith to it in which that part is not mentioned. That is probably more sahih. The thing is, what is more sahih is this hadith, which I also read on my Science Mistakes video. The Prophet asked me at sunset, "Do you know where the sun goes?" I replied, "Allah and His Apostle know better." He said, "It goes till it prostrates itself underneath the throne and takes the permission to rise again, and it is permitted. And then a time will come when it will be about to prostrate itself, but its prostration will not be accepted. And it will ask permission to go on its course, but it will not be permitted. But it will be ordered to return whence it has come, and so it will rise in the west." And that is the interpretation of Allah's statement, that the sun runs to its fixed resting place. This hadith is shown as an alternative to that hadith, and is seen as even more authentic, completely reliable. And what this hadith tells us is that the sun goes to a resting place. Mm-hmm. The only thing that is missing is that it sets in a muddy spring. Mm-hmm. But it basically says the same thing. It goes to a resting place. What resting place is this?
It takes a nap. That's why it becomes dark.
What kind of nonsense is this? This is so primitive. This shows us how primitive the author of the Quran was, how primitive Muhammad was. What is also funny is this is one of many hadith in which someone asks Muhammad something about the nature or about something else. Sorry. In one of many hadith in which Muhammad asks someone else about something in nature or something else, mm-hmm. and then that person says, "Allah and His Prophet know best," and then Muhammad comes up with the weirdest bunch of nonsense ever. There's a pattern to this. Muhammad asks something because he doesn't properly know, and then that person says, Allah and His Prophet know best, and then he starts talking some complete primitive garbage. There is a very, very funny pattern with these hadith.
Yeah, there is. And really, I mean, we've only looked at this one, but the pattern that you find really is Muhammad. The only things that Muhammad got right are things that any 6-year-old could have gotten right. Right?
Yeah.
Like there is a sun. Oh, it's a miracle. Muhammad knew that there is a sun, that there is a moon. Right? Muhammad knew these kinds of things. That having sex has something to do with childbirth, right? These are the things that Muhammad gets right. The things that he gets wrong are absolutely everything else, right? Everything where a 6-year-old wouldn't have known it, or, if you're talking about sex, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old, something like that. But let's say your average 7th century Arab caravan robber. The things that your average 7th century Arab caravan robber would know about the world, those are the things that Muhammad gets right. Everything else he gets wrong.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right. Now, someone asked earlier, I lost the comment here. I was scrolling down and I lost the comment. But the comment was, do stars also set in a muddy pool? And that actually is a good segue into what happens with stars. Because stars don't set in a muddy pool. Stars have a different role in Allah's cosmos. So what is the role of stars in Allah's cosmos?
Well, there are many roles that stars have in Allah's universe. I don't even want to say universe because the Quran was obviously not aware of such a thing. But
7 universes.
Yeah. So in the Quran, in Allah's world, stars have the role of being adornments at the sky, just these lamps that were hung at the ceiling by Allah, which is of course very convenient, and they show people the way, and they're also very nice to look at. You look up and you see these tiny little stars. Another function they have is that they are missiles. Stars are thrown at rebellious devils who go up to the heavens and try to snatch secret knowledge from the heavens.
Come on. We're not talking about weak hadith here that that only have one source. We're not talking about stuff like that. So don't be going to these weird hadiths quoting something about, stars being used to shoot demons. We only want the most reliable Muslim sources on this one. So you got to move on. There's we're not talking about weak hadith here.
No problem. I can do that immediately. So first off, the Quran says, the Quran.
Wait, the Quran?
Uh-oh. Yes, the Quran.
Okay.
Quran, 3 verses in the Quran. 37.6 says, indeed, we have adorned the nearest heaven with an adornment of stars. And the next verse says, and as protection against every rebellious devil. It goes on, so they may not listen to the exalted assembly of angels, and are pelted from every side, repelled, and for them is a constant punishment. Except one who snatches some words by theft, but they are pursued by a burning flame, piercing in brightness.
I'd like to ask the Muslims in the chat, do you believe that stars are missiles that Allah uses to shoot demons who try to sneak in and hear some of his secret heavenly conversations? Do you believe that's what stars are?
Please give us your answers. I really wonder to. Let me go on and read another Quran verse. And we have certainly beautified the nearest heaven with stars, and have made from them what is thrown at devils, and have prepared for them the punishment of the blaze. So some stars, not all stars maybe, but some stars are definitely missiles thrown at rebellious devils. Let us go on. It also says that the stars were made to protect the heavens from every devil expelled, except one who steals a hearing and is pursued by a clear burning flame. This is in chapter 15, verse 18.
So what is that referred to? Being pursued by a clear burning flame.
So the star is the star that we see in the sky is the shooting stars. Excuse me. Let me even get closer to what the Quran is really trying to tell us here. When you see shooting stars in the sky, that actually means that angels, on the order of Allah, are throwing burning stars at devils who are trying to run away with secret knowledge from the heavens. And what you see as shooting stars are those stars flying after them and pursuing those devils. What also happens is that those devils occasionally get away. They are not hit by the shooting star. They occasionally get away, and then they come down to the earth and visit soothsayers and tell soothsayers about those secret things that they heard in the heavens, which is why soothsayers occasionally get things right when they inform people about their future.
So Allah's aim was off on those days, right?
Yeah.
So guys, are you following this? So you've got these devils. So this is the story, right? And this is all based off Muhammad seeing a shooting star, right? Which in the ancient world, people would have thought, oh wow, is that actually a star? Is that actually a star there, right? We know today that shooting stars are not stars. They're rocks that hit the Earth's atmosphere, and and then you see the streak across the sky. So here's your prophet's story. He's sitting out there, and without the light pollution that comes from modern, lights and stuff like that, you can see a ton of stars. If you ever go to an area of the world that doesn't have a big city nearby, it is amazing how many stars you see out there. And you see way more things like shooting stars. So out in the Arabian desert, 7th century, they would have been looking up and they would have seen shooting stars all the time. It would have been awesome. And Muhammad jumps in there to spit them some scientific knowledge, because remember, Allah and his messenger know best. And he breaks down what they're seeing. Hey, do you know what you're seeing there? No, we don't know what we're seeing. Let me tell you what you're seeing. The devil tried to sneak up on Allah, roll up on him. Some devils get away with it. They're like ninjas. They can sneak right up on Allah. Allah doesn't know where they are, right? But some are a little more sloppy. They stumble, they trip over something, they bang something, a cat screeches, and Allah hears them, and he takes a big old star, which in Islam are little tiny things, and he grabs one of those, hurls it at the demon, as this demon's taking off running. Help me, Allah's gonna get me, right? He hurls the star at that demon so he can't get away. And then when you see a shooting star in the sky, it's because, pow, Allah flung a star at him, boom, smack that demon. He can't come in and tell the soothsayer the information that he stole from Allah. That way, he won't get anything right, because he won't have the information on Allah's divine council meeting. And so that's the story, ladies and gentlemen. And his followers, I'm sure, see, I try to think back, and people's knowledge was limited back then, but I try to sit back and think, no, even if I didn't know anything, I would think that's a load of nonsense right there. But his followers had to believe him, because if you start saying, no, Muhammad, that sounds stupid, you're going to get your head chopped off, ladies and gentlemen. That's what's going to happen. All right, go ahead.
His people are going to chop your head off. That's how it goes.
That's a fact.
I mean, it is so obvious in the Quran verse what all of this describes. It really doesn't need further explanation. But there are hadith on this issue too. I don't know if I picked the right one here, but there are multiple hadith that further explain that Muhammad was talking about shooting stars, and to further explain, when you see shooting stars in the sky, it looks like it looks like a star that is moving to people, and we falsely call it a shooting star. But a shooting star is basically a meteor that is trying to enter our atmosphere and is burning up while it tries to enter the atmosphere. So it has nothing to do with stars at all. It is so far away from stars. Stars are huge, gigantic objects, like thousands of times bigger than the Earth, and a meteor is this tiny thing that could land on the ground in front of you, and you could probably kick it around. No, really.
They're worth a lot of money, the ones that actually hit the ground and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you can find some of them still being indirectly worshipped by religious groups, and they might attach meteoroids to their.
It's part of their whole foundation of worship to go and smooch one.
Yeah. We're talking about the Kaaba, everyone. the black rock at the Kaaba is assumed by many people to be a meteor too, or to be a meteorite. Meteorite is the one.
Enzo 1965 said, "Why not just say be not?" Talk about one of the devils sneaking into heaven. Instead of going through and hurling a star, why not just say be not, and then it would be not.
So Muhammad was obviously mad at soothsayers. It was a very primitive community, and he saw that there were people, soothsayers, who would make promises and tell people that they can foresee the future, that they can tell them about the future. And Muhammad was asked about those people. And Muhammad is claiming to be a prophet of Allah. He's obviously supposed to know more than everyone else, more than this stupid little soothsayer. So his answer that he gave was that, well, soothsayers occasionally get things right, which is because devils go up and snatch secret knowledge from the heavens and bring them to soothsayers, and they distort the message a little bit, which is why soothsayers may occasionally tell you something right and something wrong. They get it right because they get it from the devils above. That's how they do that. I know best because I'm the prophet of Allah, and he tells me everything. I know everything.
Yep.
Anyways,
and notice how that would impact the Muslim argument, because there are Muslims who say, oh, but look in the Hadith here where Muhammad predicted that this thing would happen. Well, according to Muhammad in the Hadith, the soothsayers can predict things.
Yeah.
Right? They stole something away. So even if Muhammad were to get something right, which he didn't, according to Muhammad, it wouldn't be evidence that he's actually speaking for God. All right, we only have a few more minutes. Here is a good question to wrap up with. So in case you're just tuning in, ladies and gentlemen, we're only going for about an hour because we are both traveling tomorrow, heading down to Muhammad's boom boom room, where, sad to say, the apostate prophet is going to get exploded. He's going to get exploded. But so it's a big day tomorrow involving him getting exploded. So we have to wrap up because I have to pack and we have to get ready and all this stuff because I'm leaving in the morning. But we're going to be back with more. We went over basically two main examples. We went over Jul Karnain, traveling so far west, he found the place where the sun sets. We considered the Muslim objections to that. They don't do very well. And we went over the stars being missiles that Allah uses to shoot demons when they try to sneak into heaven and steal his plans so that they can pass the information on to soothsayers. So we went through that. But there's plenty more. And we'll probably get back to this next week after we're all done with recording, and we can go through more of the scientific problems in the Quran. I just wanted to point out, before we go into this last question, I'll go ahead and put up on the screen now, but AP's channel, link to his channel is in the description box. I recommend everyone subscribing to his channel, and the link to his new video on all the scientific mistakes in the Quran. So it's a long video. It's almost an hour long, going through the scientific mistakes in the Quran. I think you cover 60 of them. Was it 60?
Yeah, 60.
Yeah. So it goes through 60 scientific mistakes in the Quran. You'll want to watch that. It's long, so if you're not the sort of person who sits down and watches an hour-long video, although all of you are sitting here watching an hour-long live stream, so you're not that kind of person. But if you were, you could watch it in parts, right? You could watch like 10 at a time or something like that. All right, so AP. This is from Rob, who says, I have a Muslim friend who believes the Quran has no mistakes. How should I respond?
Well, I would just say show them this video, for example, or show them other lists that expose all the mistakes. But the thing is, it's a very tricky issue because when you are a Muslim, you learn from a very early age that the Quran is absolutely no mistake, that it is the most perfect book out there, and that people are trying to attack it and whatever, but Allah has protected it and He made it perfect. It is the only book in the world that has been preserved in its original form, and all that bunch of nonsense. But there is not really much that you could initially do to immediately prove this person wrong or to immediately convince them. But I think a good place to start would be to ask them why they are so or how, on what basis they are so convinced that the Quran has been preserved in its original form. There is no basis for that. Mm-hmm. The claim that the Quran has been preserved in its most original form is only supported and proven by other sources that are just as dubious as the Quran. Mm-hmm. So there is no actual proof to that, and you don't have an example of the first Quran. There is no such thing existent. Secondly, so with that, if you find out that there is no proof that the Quran has been completely preserved, it could mean that the Quran is entirely unreliable in everything it says. Especially if that book makes such a claim that it is the truest word directly spoken by Allah and it has been preserved and so on. But from there on, you could then immediately go on. You could pick up my list of 60 scientific mistakes. There is so much. I put months of work into this, really. You could always look at David Wood's sources. You could go on Answering Islam, which is a very nice source that I used, where Sam Shamoun made some very nice lists. You could check Wiki Islam, which has also very well written summaries on all these subjects. But one of the things I would say is just go and start reading chapter 18, verse 83. Go on from there. Read it through till 1890, or even further if you want, and just go through those and try to make this Muslim person ponder on these Quran verses a bit. There is really not a way to get out of that, out of that mess.
Yep. In addition to that, Rob, I would say, whether you're talking to a Muslim or non-Muslim, if someone's making some claims that you're interested in challenging, a good place to start is always to start with a couple of questions. And one of the most important questions to ask someone who says, the Quran has no mistakes. I believe that the Quran has no mistakes. The most important fundamental question to ask at that point would be, how did you come to that belief? Or how did you come to that conclusion? Because there are two possibilities here, right? There are two main possibilities. Either he concluded that the Quran has no mistakes by spending years studying the Quran and looking through all of the supposed errors and realizing that there are powerful responses to them, and that they upon closer examination, they all turn out to be absolutely correct. Yes, upon closer examination, you realize that stars are missiles that Allah uses to shoot demons. It's what scientists have discovered, right? So either he believes that the Quran contains no errors because he spent years of researching it, in which case that's extremely unlikely. It's extremely unlikely that that's how he came to the belief. Far, far, far more likely that he's simply been told all his life from his imam and from his parents that the Quran contains no errors. He's heard it all his life, and he watched Zakir Naik on YouTube. So it's far more likely that he came to it that way. But you want him to bring that out. You want him to acknowledge that, so that you want him to acknowledge. Yeah, it's not because I read it. It's really because I trust my dad, and I think my dad's a really knowledgeable guy, something like that. And then once you've gotten him to acknowledge that, then you can start asking questions. Hey, is it possible that your imams are wrong? Is it possible that your dad is wrong? Because keep in mind, lots of dads tell their kids things. Lots of religious leaders tell people things. A lot of them have to be wrong because they contradict each other all the time. Is it possible that they're actually wrong? Or if it's impossible, tell us how they got this infallibility or something like that. So get a couple of questions like that along the lines, and then somewhere along the line say, if you were wrong about your belief in the Quran, would you want to know it, or would you want to continue believing something false about God's revelation? And if he acknowledges that where he actually got his beliefs was he had been told them, and hey, it's possible that he could have been told wrong, and he does acknowledge that he would like to know the truth if he was wrong about something, then that's when you pick out the stuff you like, right? That's when you say, okay, well, there's this video by the Apostate Prophet. He goes through 60 Quran errors all in one video. Why don't we sit down, watch it together? I'll sit down and watch it with you. We can pause it after each one and say, how persuasive do we think this is? You can think through your responses. And how about that? And if he's at all serious, hopefully he'll sit through that with you. All right, guys. Well, we have to go because we've got work to do. We will have new episodes of the Boom Boom Room coming out because we're going to be recording them this weekend, and we'll come back sometime next week to go through more scientific errors in the Quran. Again, the link to AP's new video is in the description box. Good time to watch that would be right here after we go off. All right, final thoughts, AP.
Thank you everyone for joining. I will explode for all of you in the Boom Boom Room. And stay away from Islam.
You heard it from the final prophet himself. Ladies and gentlemen, stay away from Islam. If you reject what he just said, then you are in rebellion against Allah who sent him. All right.
Absolutely.
Catch y'all next time.
Thank you.